Hello and welcome to another episode of the Unwanted Opinions podcast. Jay and I are back after a week hiatus. Jay went on a little vacay with his girlfriend and her family.
I was out here trying to catch that Rona.
Yeah, Jay might have the Rona. He's been tested. He's waiting on his results. He was, again, in Florida, one of the spiking states right now.
I think the day I left, they had like 11,000 plus cases confirmed that day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to get into all the cases and false positives and all that stuff either.
Let's
so
hope I don't got it.
Yeah, so we'll just hope you don't. He has no symptoms, but he was in a place, so he's being sort of quarantined working. He's doing a lot of...
And did I tell you the girl that my nephew was sleeping with that I live with also got positive?
You did say that, yes.
Yeah, so there's a lot of factors around me right now that are not in my favor.
So
but I feel great.
You and Austin still have not received your test results?
Nope, he took his on Tuesday, and I took mine on Sunday.
Yeah, I can't believe they don't have those back to you. I know a few people that have got them back within 48 hours.
Messed up, right?
That's just crazy. Yeah. Did Rachel go ahead and get tested too?
Hell no.
Yeah, she should, but
she ain't coming around nobody. She won't even come over.
Well, that's probably a good idea. I don't want you to come over to my house right now either, to be honest.
Yeah, I feel that.
But anyways, did you have a good vacay, man?
Yeah, it was fun. It was relaxing. I let my work phone die, and I didn't charge it until Sunday night.
That's a true vacation right there.
Yeah, I didn't have to deal with nothing.
Yeah. Well, you didn't really miss too much going on here in the Yeti, man.
No, I'm sure I did not.
I mean, it was good 4th of July, and I had a good time doing that. I hope everybody had a great 4th. Had some good fireworks shows.
That's the one thing I did miss. I kind of wanted to be at your dad's again this 4th of July.
And I told you, I think his show this year was better than last year.
I don't even remember the show last year. I was seeing stars.
Yeah, about by 8 o'clock you were.
I'll never try and outdrink a 50-year-old who's been
drinking
that dude, his whole life.
His tolerance is sky high, man. I've never met anybody with a tolerance like him. or my mom. They can challenge each other.
I tried it. It was not good for me.
All right. Let's just get into what we're going to be talking about tonight. Jay and I are going to every team is arriving in Orlando. Should be by the end of tonight. I think the Lakers just took off a few hours ago. Same with the Bucks and the Rockets. So everyone should be arriving to Orlando here in the next couple hours. We're also going to talk about the huge Patrick Mahomes, basically a lifetime deal with the Chiefs. And we're also going to talk about Cam Newton going to the Patriots because that happened last week when we were off, so we haven't got a chance to dive in on that. And I think it was last night he officially became a Patriot. He passed his physical and whatnot. So we'll talk about all those three things. We'll start with the bubble. So, Jay, I've seen a lot of these players bitching about the food on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook and how they're going to be bored and they can't do everything and just stuff like that. And, I mean, it just really makes you put some stuff into perspective on how these guys' lives are compared to us normal civilians who aren't NBA millionaires.
Yeah, their life is clearly better than me and yours because I looked at the food they were given, and no, it wasn't a 5-star sit down at a restaurant meal, but I looked at those as like, I would have loved to have something like that before every football game we played.
Oh, same.
That would have been great meals before games or before practice or something. It looked like healthy snacks. It looked like decent food. It looked like better than cafeteria food to me. So I don't know what they're so bent out of shape about. Again, they're getting meals. They're not bad. They're getting a place to stay. You talked about it before the podcast of their setup of the rooms. It's like they're having fun and doing this thing right now, and it looks like something that I would love to be at. And yet, a lot of people are complaining about their living situations. I don't get it personally.
Yeah, I mean, I know you have never personally been to Disney World, but I am, as you know, Jay, I'm probably one of the biggest Disney fans you've ever met in your life.
You just finished a Disney World puzzle.
I go all the time. Like I go like once a year. Like that place is
once
like
a year minimum.
Like my second home. Like I love that place.
How many times do you think you've been there in your life?
I mean, probably over 30 times.
See, and he's 26.
I'm 26, so I've at least gone once a year since I was probably 6 or 7. Yeah, so I just love the place. So I know a lot of these hotels they're staying at, they are like the best hotels at Walt Disney World. Like they are like considered 5-star hotels. It's not like they're living in going to a La Quinta Inn down the street in the ghetto or something like that. I mean, it's a very nice place. They're not in the slums or whatever you want to call it. They've
Fun
got
fact, Nick.
Terrence Ross just posted a video of the players' lounge that they can hang out in. They've got ping pong tables, pool tables, 2K. I mean, no, yeah, and I would miss my family as well if you're there for 2 months. If you're there, if you're going playing in the finals all the way into October, that's a long time. I get that part of it, but it's not like they put these players in such an unhealthy position. The testing that they do is like every other day. They're making sure that the people that come in are also they're getting temperature checks. They're getting tested as well. Like they are going balls to the wall trying to keep this place like the safest place in the country, maybe even the world, really. And
And I saw how they were getting tested, and I saw they swabbed Inez Cantor's mouth, which is way better than that nose thing they got to jam up your nose in order to get a lot of people's tests. So I really don't know what the big issue is.
I'm not sure either. And I know once you get there, all the teams have to quarantine for 48 hours after they get off the plane. And I believe they have to test negative 2 separate times before they're
Correct.
able to go out onto like a practice court or something, because the Magic, who are in a weird situation because they're all based in Orlando, I would assume, all unless they are commuting from somewhere else close to Orlando area. I doubt it, but they're all very close there. So they were one of the first teams there, and they just hit the practice courts today. And so I know some of these players haven't traveled with their teams yet, like Nikola Jokic, who did test positive for it. He should be with the Nuggets in the next couple days. I saw Kawhi Leonard had a family matter that he had to attend to before he came down and joined the Clippers. Russell Westbrook and James Harden also didn't get on the plane with the Rockets today, but they'll be joining the Rockets in a few days in Orlando. So maybe these players tested positive for the coronavirus and they just don't want it to be known, so they just are traveling at a different time or making up an excuse or something. I don't know. I mean, they don't want their personal business out there, and I get that. I don't have a problem with that, but I think this bubble, it's going to be a good situation, and it's the safest thing that any other sporting league is trying to do right now.
Absolutely. The only other comparable one, because the only really other sport that's happened again is the UFC, but I don't. They're overdoing it, which is a great thing. I'm not saying they should be doing less because clearly the virus is killing people. It's a horrible thing, but they shouldn't be complaining about how many times they're getting tested. This is
No.
all for the safety of all the players. You've already seen how many people since this whole COVID outbreak happened, how many NBA players alone have tested positive. Wouldn't you want everyone there to feel at ease that they're okay and be tested multiple times? Because as a player, being, say I go down there with all intentions, I'm staying in the room when I'm not practicing, I'm staying in the room when I'm not playing, I'm going to do everything I can to make sure I'm safe and the people around me are safe. There's zero chance that every NBA player is doing that. Some players will go out. Some players will sneak out and try and go have a good time or walk Disney World.
That's why they got the snitch line, man.
Yeah, so I get the concern, but you have to over test because you can't rely on everybody being where they're supposed to be and doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Everyone's different. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And they've also got that ring that the players are being forced to wear that it's like 90% accurate. It like tracks your heart rate, and it can track respiratory if you are like showing early signs of the coronavirus, so they can get to that player early, test them, and if you test positive, quarantine that person for X amount of days, whatever, before you get, because if you test positive, you have to have 2 negative tests to be able to resume workouts or rejoin the team or things like that. You're just going to be isolated to your room. You'll still be brought like food and everything. You're not going to be kicked out of the bubble. It's just you're going to have 2 negative tests before you're able to come back. And so I think they're doing everything they can, and I think it's going to work. I'm just excited for it.
Same, man.
I'm a little. We haven't talked about any of these players who have decided to sit out. Avery Bradley, notably for the Lakers, his son has dealt with respiratory issues before in his life, so he was worried about that, which 1000% makes sense. I mean, if you're worried about your 6-year-old son's health, don't go. And I don't think anybody faults him for doing that. Victor Oladipo for the Pacers, which kind of broke my heart a little bit because I was excited to see him play and see what the Pacers could maybe do. I'm not saying they were a title contender, but I think they could cause some issues in the first or second round of the playoffs. Bradley Beal and Davis Bertans for the Wizards. I mean, the Wizards probably shouldn't have been invited anyways, but I know they were trying to get as many teams possible into the bubble. LaMarcus Aldridge for the Spurs, he decided to go get surgery. So there's just a lot of guys
Ariz is out as well, correct?
Ariza set up for the Blazers, you're correct. And then the Nets. I mean, the Nets basically are taking like a
The
JV
whole Nets
team.
team is out.
Yeah, I mean, Torian Prince, DeAndre Jordan, Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, you also got KD and Kyrie were never going to play, but I mean, there's your other 2 players on your team. So the Nets they signed Jamal Crawford, which is awesome because he should have been in the league anyways.
Chandler.
But I'm just, man, some of these teams are going to just go for these 8 games and then just try and get home. And
The one you probably know more better than me. The one I haven't heard. I know Lou Williams was talking about sitting out. Has he declared
he's there.
that he's?
I saw a picture
I know
of
he's
him.
there, but I thought there was still a chance he wasn't going to play.
As far as I know, what Doc Rivers has said is that he expects Lou Williams to play.
All right. Well, I'm glad because I want every good player on every good team to be there and play if they can be.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, Bradley Beal and Victor Oladipo are the 2 biggest stars that have sat out because both of them are all-star players. They're all NBA level guys. Victor Oladipo, he's worried about his knee because he's coming off a really, really gruesome injury about 16, 17 months ago where he basically tore his quad off of his bone. I mean, it's a extremely rare injury, and he doesn't want to, after 4 months off, he doesn't want to try and ramp up and go and then worry about his injury because he's up for a contract extension, and he wants paid. And
yeah, I get his perspective, and I don't think, being realistic, the Pacers are championship contenders. So now if they were in like a position of the Lakers or the Clippers or even the Rockets, I'd be like, dude, you should really be trying to play and help your team. They're counting on you. That's what you signed the contract for. But in their position, he has taken 4 months off, and I think he only had like 13 games.
I think it was 13 games, yeah.
And he wasn't doing that hot to begin with.
No, he was honestly, he was terrible. He was
Yeah,
he
I think
had
he was
that,
averaging like 14 points a game.
and he was shooting like 30% from the field. He had that one fantastic shot to send the Pacers into overtime against the Bulls on his first game back. And
I don't mind him shutting it down.
And then he was just really bad. It's just the Pacers have been knocked out of the first round for the past 4 or 5 years, and they really wanted to advance into the second round. And depending on who they were matched up in round 1, I mean, they could have easily, I wouldn't say easily, they had a legitimate shot to get out of the first round this year, in my opinion. I think they did, depending on who they were matched up with. And
honestly, they still might have that shot. They missed Oladipo almost all of the season, and
it's true, they were very good.
They were playing better without him.
They were really
not
good.
A knock on Oladipo. He was coming back from, like you just said, a major injury. He had spent all that time off, so obviously there's going to be some rust there, and he only got to play in 13 games. But when the Pacers were kind of rolling and they looked at their best, it was without Oladipo. So maybe they have still a fighter's chance to make some noise early in the playoffs.
Yeah, and like I said, it depends on who they play in round 1. And I mean, if they get Miami, I think that's a good matchup for them. If they get Philly just might end up obviously beating them because they just have more talent top to bottom. But who knows? I mean, you could see him make a shot out of the first round. But that was just a huge blow to me, just as a fan of Oladipo. And I mean, I like the Pacers. I root for them. They're hometown team, so you always like to see them do well. So that one was kind of tough. But and Bradley Beal sitting out because he's claiming a shoulder injury. I can't say that he doesn't actually have a shoulder injury, but I just feel it's more he didn't think it was necessary because they're 6 games out of the 8th spot right now. They have to get within 4 games to make the playoffs. I mean, I mean, I don't really care because I don't think the Wizards really should have been invited back anyways. But that one didn't really bother me at all.
Nope, me and you
Bradley
were in the same
Beal
boat there.
sitting out.
I feel the same about him as I do Oladipo. Whether his injury is really happening and it's like full force, it really hurts him, he doesn't want to risk it, or if he's just using an excuse. Wizards aren't doing anything if they even make it.
No.
And I think he just signed, didn't he, for...
Yeah, he just extended this offseason for.
So why risk your body going for a season that really doesn't matter?
And then John Wall, and next year, maybe they think, hey, we get one more guy in here, get John Wall back if he's feeling 100%. Bradley Beal gets back 100%. Starting next year, maybe they feel like they have a chance in the East if they add one or two more pieces when those two guys are healthy. Because, I mean, when they were healthy, I mean, they made a couple rounds in the second round of the playoffs, and they just ran into better teams. But who knows? I mean, depending on what these guys look like,
Could you imagine that team with KD? Because I know that's KD's hometown, and he was rumored to possibly want to go to Washington.
I would have been tremendous.
Yeah.
I mean, adding Kevin Durant to any team is amazing.
But I feel like he would have fit in there really, really well.
I think he would have too.
He's also a player that fits in almost anywhere he goes, just based off the style of play.
He's such a good shooter.
Yes,
I mean, he can literally, and he's seamlessly, he's a scorer, just so natural. It just comes so natural to him.
And he's not super selfish.
Yeah.
I mean, you
on the court, no, he's not.
That's what I'm saying. On the court, he's not one that is going to demand 20 shots a night.
No. I mean, you saw
as
that.
Long as they're rolling.
I mean, I'm not going to get into it. That's a whole different story. I'm going to Golden State.
Avery Bradley.
That's a decent loss for the Lakers.
That's a fucking huge loss.
Because they were really he was actually having a really good season for the Lakers. I mean, he was really good, especially defensively. What he was able to do.
Ball perimeter guard in the league.
To point guards, I mean, you hear it almost every single year. I mean, a lot of these point guards are like, man, I hate playing against Avery Bradley. He's able to just basically sit in your hip pocket the entire game, and he's a nightmare defensively because you could never lose him. He's hard to screen. He's hard to get around. He's extremely quick. But the Lakers were 17-3 this year when Avery Bradley sat out. So, I mean, yeah, it's a loss. It's a good-sized loss, but I still think they're an extremely good team. And I mean, it's a loss for sure, but
yeah, it's a loss. I'm still picking the Lakers to win the whole thing. I've said that from the beginning. You've said that from the beginning. I'm not wavering from it, but I do think it's a pretty significant loss from the Lakers.
We'll just have to see those minutes go to Alex Caruso or shit. They just signed JR. Maybe JR gets some of those minutes. They did sign Dion Waiters.
I'm still a believer in playoff Rondo.
I mean, LeBron just posted a picture on his Instagram story saying playoff dough is ready and get ready for playoff Rondo, things like that. So we'll see. I mean, I do think the Lakers have enough, but that Avery Bradley, it's a loss. But I respect why he's not going because family comes first.
Always, and especially when his son is in the position he's in, where he's already had previous respiratory
issues,
yeah. And this virus, they basically said if you specifically have respiratory issues,
that's
stay
where
home.
It goes first.
Yeah, so I don't blame him one bit, even because he could be asymptomatic and not know it and bring it back, and there's no chance I'm risking that.
Because if we just talked about briefly how you had to not see your family for a very long time. If you advance into the second round of the playoffs, players can reserve up to 3 rooms for family members. I believe it's only immediate family, so you can't bring in like your girlfriend's brother or something of that nature.
Yeah, but you don't want to bring your kid around all that.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, some people may want to bring their children in, like, to this bubble, because once they come in, the players are responsible for those rooms, and this is why I'm saying that's why Avery Bradley's probably sitting out, because the Lakers more than likely are going to advance to the second round of the playoffs, if we get there. And so he didn't want to even expose his kids to that if that was a chance of him getting sick and dying, obviously. But that's another thing. If you advance to the second round of the playoffs, you can bring your family in. You just they have to quarantine as well. They have to take some of the same procedures that these players have, where you got to test negative, things like that. So that's something that these players look forward to as well, advancing. And some of them may not even look forward to advancing. Some of them may just be there because they have to be, and they'll get paid, and then they'll just get to go home because it's business, and that's what they have to do. So
yeah, I think it was Embiid that basically said he doesn't really feel safe and is not too thrilled about it, but he's not going to let his teammates down, so he's going to be there.
Yeah, which, I mean, I think it's as safe as anything. I think it's more safe than these guys being in their home markets, being able to do whatever they want.
I think it is too. Like I said, I think the NBA is being overly cautious.
I think it's more safe than just going to the grocery store or going out to a restaurant or wherever these players were going. Because, I mean, I'm sure some of them weren't fully social
No.
distancing and self-isolating as much as they probably should have been. So there's just a lot more temptations if you're not there. So, but I wanted to tell you this one more thing, Jay, if you didn't have anything else.
Okay. I do have a fun fact after.
The NBA's made arrangements with Disney World to provide access to attractions and experience at the theme park after hours once all the guests are gone. And these things are such as the Rock and Roller Coaster in Hollywood Studios, the Test Track at Epcot, Expedition Everest at Animal Kingdom. So some of the bigger, more thrilling rides, as if you will, some of like the roller coaster type stuff. So they're giving these players more things to do, so they're not always just sitting inside of their hotel room forever. So because Disney World
Dude,
is
this sounds like a
reopening
vacation.
this weekend. On Saturday, 2 of the parks are, and then on the 15th, the other 2 parks are opening. So once these close, they'll sanitize everything, I'm sure, do all their things, and then let some teams in at different times so they can come in and do this if they want to.
I'm just going to say it again. I don't know why they're complaining. This sounds awesome.
If you were in this position, would you go?
Absolutely.
I would too.
100%.
I would do it.
And you can even, again, I'm not going to get super into the whole politics of the whole thing, but it's shown that basically healthy adults, it really doesn't have that bad of an effect, especially high-level athletes.
So
now,
exactly,
some people just
NBA
have bad
players.
immune systems, but like you saw when it happened to Zeke, he was just like, yeah, I mean, I felt bad for a couple of days, but it really wasn't that bad.
Most of these, that's what most of these guys have said who've gotten it. Like professional athletes, that is.
Absolutely. Again, I understand. Like if I was in Avery Bradley's position, I wouldn't go. But me in the position I'm in right now with my life and everything going on, I don't have kids. And if I was an NBA athlete and they wanted me to go, I'm absolutely going. And I'm going with a smile on my face. This sounds fun as shit.
I agree.
And then that just gives you more extra motivation to get your family there so you want to play hard to go to that next round and then bring them with you.
Yep. That's true, and you're still fighting for a championship.
Exactly.
Getting your paycheck, and if they want to do things for social justice issues, I know some of them. I think Patty Mills is donating the rest of his money that he's making at the bubble to the Black Lives Matter movement, which is awesome.
That is awesome.
Good for him. I'm sure there's other players that are probably going to do similar things and donate to other causes, which is amazing. And that's why a lot of these players were saying we want to come back because we have a voice there.
Yeah, I'm not going to knock Kyrie for what he was doing, but there's a way, like LeBron and them are doing, to still play basketball and use your platform going forward.
Yeah.
Not
LeBron
just
was one of the biggest ones advocating for that. It was like, get these cameras on me, and we can do a lot.
So I see both sides, but there is a way to still play basketball and have a good time and be there for your fans and still get a message out.
Agreed. Yep. What was your fun fact before we move past the bubble?
I almost forgot. You mentioned the La Quinta Inn. One time when I was going down to see a buddy graduate from his basic training or whatever, we stopped at the La Quinta Inn and there was cocaine on the little nightstand in our room.
Yeah, I remember you told me that story, but there's a fun fact about the La Quinta Inn, and that's not what these players are getting exposed to right now.
So that was kind of my point. They're not living in this half-ass hotel. They got it made.
They've got a pretty good gig for sure. And I guess I don't even remember if I said this, but we were talking about right before we started recording that when everyone gets into the bubble, they're apparently going to have better meal options for all these players. It was just right now until they get everybody in and then it's secure and they don't let any more players, teams, etc. into this bubble, all you have are the workers coming in and out. But again, they're being tested and temperature checked and everything as well once they come back in to do their job. So,
and another interesting fact, I saw that when they're checking temperatures, anything over like 100.4 won't be allowed. And I'm like, damn, that's kind of high, isn't it?
That's pretty high.
But I mean, low.
I think 98.6 is normal. So, I mean, I guess it's not even 2 full degrees over. I don't know. I guess I'm not really what's considered a fever, I guess. I
Yeah,
honestly thought it
hell,
was
I don't
anything
know.
over 100, but I'm no doctor.
Dr. Nick.
We'll definitely talk about the bubble a lot more. We'll dive into some more teams and things like that once it gets rolling a little bit. You're going to start having practices, and then they've got scrimmages before the games. So we'll definitely talk about those matchups and stuff when it gets a little closer to that time, because I'm just ready for it. Big time, man.
I think everybody is.
I know. I know. I just can't say enough. Okay. Let's talk about Cam first before we talk about the Mahomes extension. You cool with that, Jay?
All for it.
All right. So, Cam Newton, I think it's been over a week. He's officially a New England Patriot. If he's healthy, man, you got to watch out for those Patriots again. I mean, I think you and I both had him at least at 9 wins this year, even with it was going to be Jarrett Stidham at quarterback because of Bill and the system and their defense. They were the number one defense last year, and they really didn't lose anybody other than Jamie Collins and Kyle Van Noy, I'm pretty sure. So those are two guys that have gone, and the Patriots didn't miss a beat before, so I have no reason to believe that they will again. They loaded up on defense in the draft, and I said this last year, if Cam would have been healthy, I thought he had a lot to prove, and I thought he was hungry.
I think he's the
I think
hungriest he could be right now.
I am too, and everything I've read is he's fully healthy. He's ready to go. I just saw a video today where he was working out with N'Keal Harry, the Patriots receiver who they drafted in the first round last year. Man,
Who we were both high on.
the Patriots just got a lot more scary with Cam at quarterback.
Oh, I'm 1,000% with you. I think, what do they say? There's only two things in life guaranteed: death and taxes. I think you can add the third thing to the list, that Cam Newton's completion percentage will be a career high.
I agree.
No doubt about it. I think Cam Newton is going to have even possibly a better year than when he won MVP, and I think they went 15-1.
They did.
And made it all the way to the Super Bowl. So I was.
The best receiver he's ever played with is probably a 38-year-old Steve Smith.
Yeah.
That's terrible. That's embarrassing for the Panthers organization to never give him a really good wide receiver.
Yeah, and to really think about it, he's only played somewhat of a limited amount of games with McCaffrey because he's been injured a lot.
I think
of the
it was
time.
just really one full season in 2017 as a rookie.
So what I was going to say was, even the best running back he's played with is probably either Jonathan Stewart or D'Angelo Williams.
Yeah, and D'Angelo Williams was a very good player, and Jonathan Stewart was also a good player. But I get what you're saying. They're not. I mean, these aren't like Pro Bowl, All Pro level guys.
Exactly. And D'Angelo Williams had his moments, but over his career, he's been shipped around because he hasn't been the guy that many times.
No, and they've never had a very good offensive line ever in his career, really. Even when they went 15-1, I mean, I think his main receivers was Ted Ginn and Philly Brown that year when they went to the Super Bowl. Man,
you're hating on two.
I know they're two Ohio State Buckeyes.
Premier wide receivers from the Ohio State.
But come on. I mean, they were good college players, but neither of them were that good in the NFL, and you know that, Jay. I'm just saying those are the two guys that he led to the Super Bowl. I mean, their defense was really, really good, and that's what carried him a lot too. But again, you're putting Cam, into a situation where he's going to have another really good defense, a defensive-minded head coach, an offensive coordinator in Josh McDaniels, who under Belichick has done tremendous things with whoever he's been thrown in at quarterback. I know Tom Brady was there for a really long time, but they went 11-5 with Matt Castle and 3-1 with Jimmy Garoppolo and Jacoby Brissett. And Cam Newton is better than all three of those guys, no question about it.
No question. And with their offense, even if Cam goes to the New England system and starts dinking and dunking, he's so much more of a threat than Brady with his legs. It's not even funny. Yes. So he opens up more zones because the defense has to key in on him and his ability to take off running at any moment in time.
Yeah. I mean, I just sent you that stat today. In 2018, 25% of Tom Brady's completions were behind the line of scrimmage.
That's so
25% of your throws. That is a quarter.
It was like 98 of his almost 400 throws or 400 something throws.
Yeah, I think it was 98 of
Completions.
375 or something like that.
Were passes thrown behind the line
Passes
of
thrown
scrimmage.
behind the line of
Just let
scrimmage.
that sink in.
Let that sink in. If that's something that Cam Newton cannot do, please tell me right now, because that is something every quarterback in the NFL can do. And
Exactly.
you see it year after year what the Patriots offense has really been built on, and that's stuff that Jay and I preach all the time, and you guys may get sick of hearing it because you just think it's Brady slander. But man, just put the film on of this guy and that offense. It is nothing extraordinary. It is nothing spectacular that no other quarterback in the league can do, and that's just something that we preach all the time. Is this guy's no more special than what everybody makes him out to be, than a guy like Aaron Rodgers or Drew Brees, or he's just not light years above the rest of these quarterbacks like the media makes it seem like he is.
I'll give you his IQ and his knowledge of NFL defenses is probably better than any quarterback in the NFL right now because he's played for so long.
And he's probably up there with Peyton Manning, probably like 1 and 2 of the.
But I will tell you, it's nothing that Belichick and McDaniels can't teach Cam Newton. And it's not like Cam Newton's been in the league for 2 years. The dude's a proven veteran. He came in the league in 2011,
He's a former MVP.
So let's not get it twisted. Belichick and McDaniels will be able to show Cam what to look for in that offense, and he brings a threat that Tom Brady couldn't even dream or fathom of. Yeah, good luck. I thought the Patriots were going to be a pretty good team without Brady. They're probably making it back to the AFC Championship.
They might, and they may win 11 to 12 games now. And now this is all speculated on Cam staying healthy because the past 2 years he hasn't been able to do it. So it really does predicate on Cam's shoulder or his foot, or hopefully whatever ailment doesn't come out and haunt him again this year, because I've always been a fan of Cam. Jay, I know it was just your love for Terrell Pryor because you thought he was going to be better and did think he was better, but I know that's where a little bit of your hate for Cam has come from. But I've always been a fan of Cam. The only thing I didn't like Cam for was the way he acted after the Super Bowl, just because he should have played that. And I think he's apologized for it, where he said, I should have handled that differently, been a little bit just more respectful and whatnot to the media, because that's their job. And he just he was really a big baby about it. And I get it, they just lost the Super Bowl, but come on, you've seen other guys handle that situation a lot better than Cam did, and he said it before, so I know he realizes what happened, but that's the only time I've ever been critical of Cam for that thing.
Yeah, and I make fun of, every time I hear it, I make fun of like all of the sports guys that use this analogy, because honestly I think it's overused and it's a cop-out a lot of times, but I'm going to use it right here. This is just another example that Belichick's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers.
It is.
You get Cam Newton, a former MVP, went 15-1, led his team to the Super Bowl, probably the most physically gifted quarterback the NFL's ever seen, and you get him for $1 million or what?
I think his base salary is $500,000.
The veteran minimum with a chance to make up to $7 million.
Yeah.
Which is still probably, I know for a fact it's less than backups are making in the NFL.
Yeah, the high end backups for sure.
Stole him for that.
Oh yeah.
Belichick and the Patriots on an entirely other level than anybody else in the league, and they're gonna strike again. And holy shit, they might win another Super Bowl without Brady.
They could. I mean, they're really good. I still don't know if they're better than the Chiefs or the Ravens, but again, the Chiefs, it's really hard to repeat. We'll talk about.
Watch out for Sony Michel this year.
Then in a minute, but I mean, watch out for all. We heard last year. What did we hear about the Patriots? They have nobody. They have no weapons. They have nothing. If Cam Newton goes out and throws for 4,500 yards and 25 to 30 touchdowns and leads them to 12-4, you're not going to hear that they had no weapons.
On a team where he had no offseason.
You're going to hear about how much help Cam Newton had. That's what it's going to resort to if he stays healthy and if they go 12-4, 13-3, 11-5, something. That's what the narrative's going to change to.
Cam's praises, I guarantee you they don't say he didn't have any weapons.
Yeah.
Even if they're like, dude, Cam's having a hell of a year.
But look at the talent he's got around him. He's got Belichick. He's got the defense. He's got so-and-so. They'll say that. But they made every excuse in the book last year for Tom Brady.
So let's see how the season plays out, but I feel like me and you are going to be smiling at the end of the year.
Yeah. And I think we both sat up here a few months ago and said we didn't think that Cam was a Belichick guy.
I didn't
think he was either.
did.
I was honestly like mind blown when he got signed there. Like
I was shocked.
Like it was one of the most shocking signings of any sports team I've ever seen.
I don't know if I was more shocked that the Patriots signed him or that
the money
contract amount that he got from the Patriots.
Yeah. It was nothing. It is nothing.
I'll put it this way, and this will be a good segue. I think I was more shocked at the amount Cam Newton's making from the Patriots than I was when I saw the amount that Mahomes is getting from the Chiefs.
I'll agree with that. I will.
And that's wild when Patrick Mahomes just signed the richest deal of any sports star ever in in the history of sports.
It's a great segue into that topic, Jay, because that was the last thing on the agenda tonight to talk about was Mahomes. And oh my God, but like you said, I really wasn't that surprised at the amount of money he got because, I mean, you give him, so technically it's going to be a 12-year contract because they didn't wipe out these final 2 years on his deal.
No, it was just an extension.
Tracked on that 10 extra years plus the up to $503 million. $500 million, man. Oh my God.
$500 million. And he's only what, 25?
He's 24. I believe he'll be 25 in September. So at the end of this deal, he'll be 37. And shit, he could sign another 5-year extension. Halfway through that at 37 from what a lot of these quarterbacks are playing into their 40s. I mean, oh my God. This is just, I mean, that's awesome. Like, congratulations to Patrick Mahomes, man. He's set for life. His family is set for life.
That's generational wealth.
Barring any injury. But, I mean,
even barring an injury, it says in the contract that
$140 million is guaranteed for an injury.
$141 million, even if he gets injured.
Yeah, which you're set then too for all that. Even if you don't get injured, which I mean, you never wish injury upon anybody, but I mean, I think he's had a pretty good track record of getting back, even if he does get injured quickly. I mean, he broke his kneecap and he was playing 2 games later.
Dude, you realize he was given a check for $63 million the second he signed his name on the contract?
Actually, I did not know that part.
Do you know how nuts that would be for me to just write my name on a piece of paper and then them hand me another piece of paper worth $63 million and I'm 24 years old?
That's insane. That's crazy. I was like, wow, when I saw that number.
My first thought
that's a baseball contract.
Holy shit, wow. And then my next thought was what he just did, setting a precedent going forward in the league. Because I had a buddy texting me at the time asking me, what do you think this means for Dak? What do you think is going to happen going forward? And I was like, Dak ain't making nowhere close to this, so he can scratch that off his list.
No, I saw Adam Schefter tweeted that this was Deshaun Watson and Dak. It was like go time now for Deshaun and Dak Prescott. I was like, why?
I agree with half of that.
Like I don't even think either of those guys are worth half of what Patrick Mahomes got. And I think they're both good players. I really like.
But I think what I'm gonna see is, I was telling him what I think is gonna happen is you're going to start seeing more young quarterbacks get 7 or 8 year deals instead of 4 or 5 year deals. Maybe not 10 like Mahomes is getting.
10's a lot,
but like 7, 8, or 9 years, I think is going to start happening with the younger quarterbacks. Like I told him, I'm almost positive Deshaun Watson will sign a contract worth $7 or $8 million.
You mean
with around the same guaranteed money?
You mean 7 to 8 years?
Or yes. So they're not making Cam Newton money. My bad.
I was about to say he's taking a pay cut from his rookie contract. That's for sure. If he's only getting 7 to 8, but no, I get it. And I mean Patrick Mahomes. I mean these next 2 years. I mean it gives the Chiefs a lot of flexibility to kind of pay a lot of guys now, front load their contracts, and once this Mahomes extension kicks in, and you also got to think about it. When that extension kicks in, it's a very good possibility that salary cap spikes again, and you see another 10, 15% increase on what it's set now, and that gives you even more flexibility because he set the quarterback market. But, I mean, if it's only, 17% of the total salary cap, I'm just making up a number here, But then that gives you so much more flexibility to go elsewhere and improve your team. And I mean, with his talent, I mean, you're never probably ever going to pay running backs. You're going to always draft them and it just shuffle them around. I keep the offensive line good. Hopefully, Andy Reid sticks around for a really long time. Brett Veach is a very good GM. They've got a good ownership group,
I
and
don't
they've
know
got
if
a
it'll
hell of a
happen, but I
fan base.
believe
That's for
Andy
sure.
Reid's gonna try and break Belichick's Super Bowl record since he's got Mahomes right now.
Shit, he can. I think I wanted to ask you this, Jay. I think Vegas set the over under of Super Bowls at 3.5, three and a half more Super Bowls on top of the one that he already has. Would you take the over or the under on that for his entire career?
As bad as it sounds, I think I'd take the under.
I probably
So
would
far.
too.
Super Bowl and shit. What, 3/4 on 4 Super Bowl?
Yeah, Brady, Montana, and Bradshaw.
Yeah, so over the entire and he might be better than all of them, but all the stars have to align so perfectly for you to win that many. And so many different things can go wrong. And I'm not even talking about just injury. Like team chemistry could be bad if something happens in the
luck,
locker room.
just flat out luck helps.
Luck, yeah. I mean, you saw the shit that happened to him against the Patriots where D Ford lines offsides and
Yeah.
you lose the game on one fucking play.
Absolutely.
That happens in the NFL. So shit, all things have to go right for you to win fucking 4 Super Bowls. So honestly, if I was putting my life savings on it, I'd take the under, but that's not a knock on Andy Reid or the Chiefs or Patrick
that
Mahomes.
just is exactly. I mean, there's 32 teams in the NFL. That's just how hard it is. I mean, everybody's going in for the exact same goal every single year. So I probably
maybe not
would
every
go
team has a Patrick Mahomes,
under.
but other teams might have the better roster and better year and just better luck during a season.
But shit, I mean, if the guy wins, at the end of the day, if he's 42 and retires with 4 Super Bowls and like 4 or 5 MVPs, every major statistical record in NFL history, he may go down as the greatest quarterback of all time. He doesn't have to get two six Super Bowls. You and I are both not the guy or anybody to say just because the amount of rings that you have makes you better than somebody else. You just have to look at context and everything, situations. It's so different.
There's a
than
lot
just
that goes into the
rings.
GOAT conversation.
And that's why I hate when you just bring up rings in a debate about who's better. Because you're sitting telling me that Tom Brady ever in his career has been more talented than Patrick Mahomes. You're fucking stupid.
Agreed.
So, I mean, like I said, props to this guy, Chiefs organization. I mean, hell, they may have gotten a steal doing this 10-year deal for X amount of dollars or whatever it's going to be by the end of this extension. That's fucking awesome.
Do you think he plays all 12 years of the contract?
I do. He's got a no-trade clause.
No, what I'm saying is without ever asking for more money.
Probably. I'll set that at like 90% that he does. That he never asks for another dime until this contract is up.
That'd be pretty cool.
Because, I mean, right now, are there any other quarterbacks in the league that you would even give $40 million to? I can name one.
Russell Wilson.
And it's Russell Wilson, yes.
Yeah.
That's the only other quarterback I would give $40 million to, and I think he makes $38 annually.
Yeah.
I believe.
I think I'm in the same boat with you.
Yeah. I mean, like we talked about some of the younger guys like Dak and Deshaun and Lamar Jackson. These guys are going to get, maybe not Dak, but I mean, because Jerry Jones is, I don't know what he's doing. He just, well,
I don't think Jerry knows.
It's a whole situation because Dak wants 40 as well, and Jerry offered him 34, and Dak should have signed on the dotted line the minute he offered him 34 a year for 4 or 5 years, whatever it was. But I mean, I can see Lamar Jackson getting close to 40. I can't see him getting a 10-year contract.
Way I would give him that, dude.
I'm just saying I could see it.
Not even because he's not electric, just because the way he plays, to me, there's zero chance he lives out the life of that contract.
I'm not saying the Ravens would ever offer him a 10-year deal. I'm just saying I could see him annually, if a 4-year average of 40 a year, I could see the Ravens doing something like that. And same thing with the Texans. I'm not sure, like you, I'm not sure I'm sold on some guys wanting to sign massive, long contracts because, again, it locks them in unless you have a lot of verbiage in your contract like Mahomes where there's an extra $53 million to make based off incentives. So it just obviously there's a lot of things that come into that, but I maybe not as sold as you are on the fact that they'll be signing 7+ year deals.
I do. I think absolutely they will. But just the good young ones, I'm not talking,
No, I know you're not saying like Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers or Matthew Stafford or guys in their 30s, things like that. I get what you're saying. It's the new
like
age of
Trevor
quarterbacks.
Lawrence or Justin Fields. If they come in and just light the world on fire, I could see them immediately getting a 10-year extension because they want to have it done and written in ink.
It's possible.
So we'll see.
I don't know. I'm just it's hard to say, but I mean, where do you think this leaves guys like Deshaun and Dak and Lamar?
What does it turn out to be Mahomes' annual salary?
I mean, if without the incentives, it's 45 a year over 10 years.
Okay.
Because whatever the 2 years he had left on his rookie deal, I'm not sure exactly what it was, but those technically aren't part of this extension. So if you work it out, 503 divided by 12, I don't know exactly what that gets you to. I can do that if that's what you want.
I don't know. I think like Watson.
So say it is 503 over 12 years. It's an average of $41.9 million a year.
Okay. Yeah, I could see Deshaun Watson getting something like 7 years, $275 million or something like that.
I could see that.
275 divided by 7 is $39.28 million a year.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see Lamar getting something similar to that too.
Yeah.
Based off, I mean, you just look at the track record of Mahomes' career. He was MVP, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, make it to the AFC Championship game, lose on a heartbreaking, stupid offside penalty. Next year, go to the Super Bowl and win it. Lamar Jackson, what he did, he went to the playoffs his first year as a starter. Then the next year he wins MVP, loses in the second round of the playoffs. So if he's
I love watching Lamar Jackson.
If he's on the same trend as Mahomes and he goes to the Super Bowl and wins it this year, he's got a lot of leverage. Also, if he plays really well again, it doesn't get hurt because he proved a lot of people wrong, including myself.
Oh yeah, 1,000% you. He proved me wrong too, but
yeah, you were higher on him than I was, and we've talked about that before. But I did not believe in him at all, and he's really proved me wrong. And I like watching him play. And like I said, I never disliked the guy by any means. I just didn't think he was going to succeed in the NFL as a quarterback. But the Ravens found a system to help him. But
yeah, they did.
So, wow.
You ready to get the hell out of here?
Yeah, we can get off of here after that, talking about another man's money.
Yeah, one that I wish I had.
Yeah, I'll take like a quarter of that shit, man. Come on.
Take 1/32.
There you go. All right. But subscribe to the Unwanted Opinions podcast. If you have not already, you can catch us on every major podcast platform. You can also check our content out on YouTube. Just type in Unwanted Opinions on YouTube. All of our audio gets immediately uploaded to that, as well as iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, everywhere. You can follow us on all social medias, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Unwanted Opinions with Nick and Jay. Hit us up on email, unwantedopinionspodcast@gmail.com. So, get after us.
Very well said, my guy.
Thank you, sir. But
until next time.